Welcome, everyone. Both myself and Mike here are both very glad that you've chosen to spend the next hour or so learning how you can better streamline the programming environment, on your power systems running the IBM I. Maybe call it the System I, I-Series, ACE400 if you're going back a little bit there. But, during this webinar, you'll see some issues, common to development and the ways that different developers' tools really try to address those issues or concerns. And hopefully you'll see how this can actually maybe improve what you do today and make you more efficient yourself. First things first, my name is Heath Caff. I'm a technical solutions consultant here at Help Systems. I should back up. Help Systems here located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. I've been with Help Systems just over 11 years, working for both their automation products and also the SQL software, from technical support, doing research, customer training locally and on site, and of course running several WebEx events just like this. I also have an additional 11 years working at IBM in Rochester, Minnesota on the IBM I, from programming, database support, really focusing with the database side, the SQL, Query 400, and so forth. But today, our expert here, Mike Stegman. Mike, how you doing, sir?
Real good, Heath. Yeah, real good. Thanks for having me here. My name is Mike Stegman, Senior Data Access Consultant here with SQL. I've been with SQL for 10.5 years. I've worked with the IBM I since it came out as the AS400 back in 1988. And over the years, I've had a variety of positions, starting with my degree is in accounting. I'm not a programmer or a high-level techno guy. Everything I've learned is self-taught or classes or education along the way, job training. But I've been support, I've been manager, I've been IT manager, I've been on-site training, consulting. I've worn hats all over the place. But I think that gives me a good understanding of businesses and how they can use software packages such as the one we're going to be talking about today, Abstract, and using them with the I. And like I said, I've been working with the SQL products for 10.5 years now, and happy to be here. And hopefully we can show some folks some new and exciting things about Abstract.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Mike, for helping out here today. Well, folks, if you happen to have any questions during this session, please send a chat message on the right side of your screen to all panelists. That way Mike and myself can see them, and then we'll address those questions during a Q&A after the live demo. Also, we are recording this webinar. So if you or somebody else would like to watch it, we will actually send a little follow-up link, usually within a day or so, and feel free to share that with other people too. Let's go ahead and get started. Kind of think about, the big picture here. It really doesn't matter, whether you're about to start a large software development project or maybe a small one, or you're simply trying to better understand your existing development environment. You need control. Control that includes the knowledge of your objects, the locations, the objects being your programs, files, and so forth. What program calls another program? What files does a program use, and are they used anywhere else? These are just some of the questions you must address. If you have this knowledge at the beginning of your project, you'll save time, effort, and money. And your developers won't have to recheck or recompile the objects because something was missed. You need this knowledge, from a high level to the last detail object, and a good tool lets you jump in at any level you need to see. Plus, when you plan to make changes, you must be able to preview the objects of the changes and track where you're at in this process and where you need to go. You need to be able to analyze your objects both from the top down to determine a program's dependencies and from the bottom up to see where or which other objects call or use that object. You should be able to easily look at programs and files. If a change is made to a file that's used in the program, you need to add the change to the relationship across the reference file so everyone else can see that change. Without that level of control, you will lose time and resources. Your development tool, should be able to help you out in a lot of different ways. Programmers to reduce the amount of time needed for editing, compiling, and debugging the programs. Analysts to enjoy a complete system overview to help them integrate new applications or enhancements very quickly. then get your software designers, to document the current program structures and propose modifications to your applications. Then what about managers and auditors, to work with full-scale details of how your application works, to give you that big picture. The right tool, lets you document the flow of your programs. You need to be able to document the process so your entire staff can use it. Later, after changes are made, other developers can find out where things stand now and what changes need to be made. Once Abstract is installed and has documented the applications in your environment, you'll notice that it makes the job of becoming acquainted with unfamiliar systems that much easier. A good tool also reduces the time you need to find and fix problems. Using documentations about job streams, field usage, and object relationships, you'll be able to trace exactly what happened and what happens and where. A complete cross-reference to a project or environment gives you the confidence to make the necessary program changes. And a visual flowchart is a great way to see that information. Whether your preference is to use the green screen, iNavigator, or IBM Rational Developer for the Power System software, known as RDP, a good tool lets you choose what you want to use, gives you that flexibility. With its cross-reference capabilities, now Abstract provides a complete centralized information source for all of your IBMI software. It stores and tracks the relationships among the various objects in your applications in a cross-reference database, which gives you the high-level views of the data flows in your environment through your applications. Coupled with the cross-reference is a set of development tools that automate many of the manual development tasks associated with maintaining and developing the software applications. Abstract is a programming tool set that really IBM programmers and analysts can't do without. Abstract actually started back on the System 38, so we'll go back quite a ways there, as an integrated set of cross-referencing, documentation and programming tools to help you create, work with, and analyze your software applications, accessed via green screen, which is still available and widely used yet today. So that's, it's not going anywhere. It's still there yet. Abstract's powerful development environment has been able to actually available as a plugin, starting with the System iNavigator, the IBM iNavigator and all that, or OpsNav if you want to call it that. Then we have the Rational Development Studio, formerly WebSphere Development Studio, as now as a plugin to Rational Development for the Power Systems RDP. Abstract allows easy navigation of IBMI objects, using its intuitive graphical interface, which also makes it easy to learn Abstract. You install the Abstract plugin for RDP and use it along with the green screen or the System iNavigator, so you can actually use all the different interfaces really in conjunction with each other. All versions of Abstract use the same cross-reference database. The IBM Rational Developer for the Power Systems software, or RDP, is a set of integrated development tools based on Eclipse that is used to create, maintain, and enhance applications on the IBM Power Systems. You simply install your RDP at the software development workstation for its graphical capabilities, and you can perform search, edit, compile, build, and debug operations on the IBMI. It really does become a nice tool set, or an aid really for the programmers. What's missing, though, from that RDP environment are the tools to diagnose, document, and analyze the impact of an application modification and enhancement. And that's kind of where Abstract kind of steps in. You install Abstract as a plugin into the RDP environment to track, document, and manage objects on the IBMI, and this makes the environment that much easier and more productive for developing the IBMI programs. With Abstract, cross-reference, documentation, and development activities, really come together under one simple interface. At this point here, Mike and I are kind of curious here. I'm going to throw up a quick polling question. All right. It should be popped up there. We're just kind of curious. For those that are listening right now here today, do you currently own Abstract? And do you own RDP or RDI? go ahead and select those answers there and click the submit button to send that off here, and we'll end that here pretty quickly here. Again, we're just kind of curious what you have today, and maybe if you have something other than that or what you use to help you maintain your objects, feel free to send a chat message to all panelists too. Would we like to know? We'll kind of get you on here just a little bit more yet. With our latest version of Abstract, our IBMI programming toolset, brings all of its powerful features, via plugins through the RDP environment. You can use Abstract with any previous mentioned interfaces, including RDP, to track, document, and manage your objects on the IBMI server, because it offers, the cross-reference, the documentation, and the development features together in a single interface. You'll find that, through this information, through the PowerPoint, through slide, or through the graphical interface, you can actually pinpoint those critical changes pretty quickly. Using the RDP plugin for Abstract, it gives you, the development staff, a single centralized database reference to a single object usage and dependencies. Regardless of the portions of the RDP your staff has licensed installed, Abstract will give them the access to the cross-reference data. And that's the big picture there, how things all tie together. So now, we're just about ready to go for our live demonstration for you, to show you really how Abstract comes together and how you can actually use the different interfaces out there to start bringing in the cross-reference information, how to actually find the relationship between your objects from the files to the programs and so forth. And we'll actually show you some troubleshooting a little bit here. We're kind of jump around and show you some how to analyze information. And of course, we'll show you some flow charting, so we can really see the big picture there. All right. So Mike will start off here, kind of give us a nice little detour of Abstract.
Sounds good. Thanks, Heath. Good job. All right. I'm going to start off, since Abstract is loaded on the iSeries, and that's its base of operation and its home. And that's where the centralized database, or the cross-reference, exists. Okay. Now the library that gets loaded is called Abstract, and that's also the command that gets you into the main Abstract menu. So I want to spend some time on this menu and move around a little bit, but I'm going to kind of get you first an understanding of the menu system and how to maneuver yourself around. All right, you have your menu options up here at the top, and these are all sub-menus up here. Okay, there are various options to do different things, and we're going to talk about a lot of them, not everything, of course, up there, but I'm going to go through the menus right over here. So menu option number 1 is initialization. This is where the options are for loading or removing information from your cross-reference. Okay, and again, we'll be doing stuff within here throughout this demo. Menu option number 2 is the object references, and this is the object relations. The object relations, object references. This is the top-down look of looking at your cross-reference. Okay, this refers to objects and how they're used, where they're used. They're displayed in a parent-child relationship, and all that you'll be seeing here in just a moment. Menu option number 3 is the object we're used. This is what we call the bottom-up view. Okay, so this is information about a particular object and how it's used. Once again, you can be specific as to the type of object you're interested in. There's different options when you're proceeding through the screen. Okay, menu option number 4 is file analysis. And this lets you see physical files, record layouts, logical files, and their access paths. So menu option number 4, file analysis. Okay. Menu option number 5 is our exception report. The exception report is a good way to help you keep your cross-reference clean and useful to others within your organization. Okay. You also have other information you can put out here. You can see different types of reports, and like I said, we will be running through a lot of these. Number 6 is the programmer's tool. And we'll spend a little bit of time in here as well, but you can see there's several different options on this particular one that we have. And it allows you to kind of maneuver yourself around and do some scanning, do some flow charting, and that's what we're going to do when we're in here, some of the more commonly used options as we maneuver through. Okay. Now, abstract is the centralized database, or the cross-reference file is built on what's called a data set. Okay, a data set. Now, a data set, you can have all of your objects, all of your programs, libraries, files, everything into one data set. You could just use the default, which would be star first for all of the abstract member files, abstract members within there. Okay, or you can set up your own. You could set up for operational areas, accounting versus sales versus production. You can set them up for a project if you're doing a particular project and just load the library or libraries that you're using for a particular project. So you can do a lot with your data set. Now, the command to add it is simply add data set, and you prompt it and you put in your data set name that you want to assign. And again, if you don't, it's okay. We're going to use star first and actually get it going that way. Okay? So let's go ahead and kind of move into here and look at some of the options that we have. So we're going to look at some of the processes and actually do some things within the system. So I want to start off in menu option number 1, which is our initialization menu. Okay, and these are the ones that you load the cross-reference. You see the commands. Anytime you're in a menu, you can actually see the commands. They can be called from a command line if necessary. Jobs such as load xref is the command. That can also be put into a job scheduler, so you can pick up any changed objects on a nightly basis or reload your full cross-reference on a weekly or monthly basis. Can also do it on a one-off basis as needed, but that's the main command here, load xref. Now, what I'm going to do for the demo, though, here is I'm going to use this other option, number 2, work with libraries that are loaded. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take option number 2 and then prompt it. Now, I created a data set already. I called it demo_webinar, WBNR. Right, and that's going to be the one that we're going to use for this next demo. As you can see, when you go into a new data set, it's empty. There's nothing in here. You can put in your library. I'm going to put in APL sample, it's the name of our library. And you could press Command 6, which is load all. Right? Now, where that comes in handy is if you list your libraries out here and hit Command 6, we're going to take over the control and we're going to load your data files first. But if you're going to do it manually, you want to make sure that you do your data files first. You want to load your data files first. That's really important. And that's what I'm going to do here. Everything I need is in this sample library, so I'm just going to take option 1 from here. I'm going to prompt it. The reason I'm going to do the prompt is so you can see my load xref command. This is the command, like I said, that actually gets processed out to the system to build the cross-reference, and it can be run on a nightly basis. There's dates out here, and again, this one's using all object. You can also have a specific date, the current date, or you can have a change date. So you can have different options within that parameter. Okay, so I went ahead and hit enter. So now it's processing. This will take just a few moments while it's doing. I just want to reiterate a point here, though, that it is important that the database files get loaded first, followed by all the other object types. Okay, it doesn't matter the order after that, but you want to load your files library first. And if you do F6 with your list of libraries here, we'll go out and search for it and pick it up for you. Okay, so what I'm doing now is waiting for it. There it is. I'm waiting for my message wait to come up, so I like to take a quick look at that. And I can see that it's completed normally. And I'm going to refresh my screen, and I want to see the system added the date it's been loaded, as well as some X's out here. Okay, now this tells me that the library has been loaded. The fact that the date is not highlighted is a good thing because then it's all set. Okay, so I'm going to back out and go back to the main menu. Now I'm going to start looking at some of the information within the cross-reference. I want to take option number 2, the object relations menu. Okay, and then from here I'm going to take option number 1. Okay, if you prompt on it, you get an option to see all the different choices that you have out here. I do need to change this. I'm just going to do this, but you can use this to select what you're displaying out of the cross-reference. And again, I want to see everything, so I just want to make sure I have everything. Paging down shows me my data set that I created called Demo Webinar. Okay, and when I press Enter, I'm looking at the object reference for everything in the APL sample library. The parent-child relations are reflected in an indented fashion. You can see over on the far left here. And scrolling down, we can see all of the program-to-program, program-to-file relationships and how they're used. Now let's say I wanted just to see the program-to-program relationships. I could do program-to-file relationships, but I'm going to use program-to-program. I could go back to the menu for object references and choose the one for specific inquiry options. But I don't want to do that. I want to stay right here. Okay. So what we do is we give you another option, and it's called subset, Command 17. See it down here at the bottom. So I want to press Command 17 for subset. And I see this similar type of options I saw when I came into here. But I'm going to change this now because remember I just said I want to look at just program to program. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to change these first couple here to no because I don't care about seeing those. And it changes my view when I press Enter. Now I'm looking at just program to program relationships. Okay, a little bit of a more concise list. Okay, so you can use Command 17 to make your change without having to go all the way back to the menu. You can do it all in one spot. You don't have to keep changing. So I'm going to change these back though because I want to get back to my the full list. There we are. I'm looking back at the full list. So you can use the Command 17 anytime you're in one of the lists there to change your subset to look at a different set of information. So what we've been looking at here is the object references. Okay. The object references. You can look at the top of the screen there. You see option is work object R. All right, well now let's say I want to do a bottom-up or where used approach. All right, let's say that I made a change or I want to make a change to the field called cuss/no within my library. All right, well I could go back to the main menu and take option 3 from the main menu and go in that way, but again, I want to do this in a more streamlined fashion. I don't want to have to go out. Well, we have an option for that. And if I look up here in my available options, I see way over here on the right, number 9, where used. Interesting. So I can come down here, find my cust master file, look for the field called cuss/no, and do an option 9 on it. And notice, like I said, we're in work object R here, and when I do this, all of a sudden we're going to go to work object usage, which is now the bottom-up look, and where this field is used. And again, I can page down, and I can see all the different places that we have to see out here. Okay. You can see where this particular field is being used and how it's being used. All right. Now, real quickly, just a comment about the option file. The option file comes with the system, and we give you the ability through another function key here called Command 16 User Options, which I'm going to press now, and you get to see the actual option file. So if I look at number 9, there's option number 9, took me to the object usage screen. Okay, right here, and it's my only option, so that's kind of useful. You can add your own entries in here. You can copy this file and have different users have different options, because when you go into abstract, we start off with the default, the abstract OPT file within the library, abstract member abstract. You can give your different users different files or just different members within here, so that when they're in abstract, they have different sets of options. Okay, now if you notice that some of these options are repeated multiple times, options 5 and 6 here as an example, and you can see that option 5 has several different options, different functions to take you in, and it depends on where you're at. So if you're in a file, it's going to go to display file description. If you're in a member, go to start SCU, and so on down the list. And again, you can add or change what you need to look at here. All right? So I'm going to come back, and I'm going to go back to the work object reference screen. And now I'm going to go to the file called customast. All right, one of my options here in my option file is 2 to edit. I'm going to do option number 2, press enter, and now it takes me into SCU. Now I can make any changes I need to. When I make my change, I can F3 out of there, and then I get the option to save and etc. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it out. Had I made a change, I could, using the option entry, recompile. I can put a 14 next to this, and a prompt on it. There's the command, recreate database relations file for the customast. If I prompt on that, I'm into the actual command here. Okay, so I can fill out any of those parameters that are applicable. Again, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to F3 myself out. I don't want to compile anything or make any changes. So what we've seen here is we've loaded some data into the cross-reference and done a couple of inquiries. First, we looked at the object reference details. Then we flipped it around and looked at the object usage. Now I'm going to do a little troubleshooting. Okay, there's a couple of ways that you can do this, and there's also a couple of ways that something could be out of whack or something could be different. Rather than going right into the exception report at this point, I'm going to go back into number 1, initialization, and number 2, work with libraries, because I was in here once before. All right. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add another library that's going to cause an issue. So I'm going to put SQL EX out here. That's a sample library that comes with SQL. Okay, I'm going to load it, submit it off to batch. Again, this will take a few moments because it's actually building the list and putting all the information into the cross-reference. Another thing while we're waiting here that I do like about this screen is you notice that these X's that are out here tell you what's been loaded. So this particular APL sample library has files, programs, source, commands, menus, queries, has a lot of stuff in there. I can put an asterisk over one of these X's. Pressing enter will show me what's out there. So there I chose to look at the files that are out there. Let's take a look at the programs that are out there. Put an asterisk here. I can see what programs are loaded. So it's a nice, easy way to see, well, how come I'm not seeing that in my cross-reference? You can come here and put an asterisk and see, oh, it didn't get loaded. And then you can begin to see if there are some issues or start troubleshooting why your cross-reference doesn't have what you thought it would. When I hit F5 here to refresh, it's not quite done. It's got a little more to go. I haven't got my message down here. But the reason this is taking a little bit longer is because there will be some error messages. And that's, like I said, that's why I did it on purpose here, so we can actually see some errors. We're going to have what I'm going to show you here when the error does come up. There we go, almost done. See that the date is highlighted in white. That's my first indication that there's something amiss. And what you can do, and there's my message wait telling me that the job completed normally, and that SQL EX did issue warning messages. So that's kind of a neat little feature there. Again, F5 just to refresh. Option number 5 allows me to display a log. So I can come down here and put an option next to SQL EX, and it'll show me from one level what type of information was out there and what's wrong about it. So for example, there's a SQL EX, there's a program called DateCalc, and it couldn't find the source. The source is located in a library called Robert H, which is just an internal library for SQL, doesn't get shipped with the product or anything like that, okay? So you can also see that the source isn't found, that the files aren't found, that it couldn't find something that it was looking for. A lot of these are user space objects, which is what SQL uses. So it's kind of a good library in this scenario to actually demonstrate. Now you also get a job log that allow you to look at more detailed information that gets generated to your spool file, so you can look at your job log. Okay, so now what we've looked at, we've looked at, if I go back to the main menu, we've looked at these first three options a little bit in depth, a little bit, and kind of shown you what you can do with it. Okay, but now I want to get into the next three options: file analysis, exceptions, and productivity tools. Let's start off with the menu option number 4 for file analysis. Okay, so I'm going to choose option 1 from here. I'm going to prompt on it, and I'm going to tell it to look for that cust mast file that I have in my APL sample library. And this brings me up a couple of things you can look at in here. I can put an option 12 next to the file there. Now I'm looking at the file layout information. Okay, back here I can also use command 22, which would show me the database relations for the file. It shows many related logicals or access paths that are out there for this particular file. So it gives you a better understanding of what's in there with your files and what you're looking at. All right. Option number 5 is the exception report. We come in here, and I'm going to take option number 1 to print the exception report in batch. Okay, again, I'm going to prompt on it because I don't want to do everything. I'm just going to look at all of the objects within APL sample. And that's been submitted off to batch. That doesn't take too long. There's my message already saying it's completed. If I do a real quick, just ignore my other stuff that's out here. If I do a real quick work spool file, here's some of my reports that were out here. Here's my exception report. If I do a 5 next to that, there's the job log. Okay. There's the report showing me all the different things that were loaded. And at the bottom of this is a nice little summary that tells you that in this case there were 36 objects analyzed out of APL sample. 0 of them have the source and data that points to the wrong source. 21 have source that was changed after it was put in the library. 17 objects had never been used, and 14 of those are orphaned objects. They're kind of just left hanging. But again, it's just a sample library, so that's okay. We kind of expected that. All right, so I'm going to come back to option number 6 now, productivity tools. Productivity tools, we're going to look at a couple things on this particular menu. Okay, this is kind of a nice way to kind of come into here. When I ask our developers internally what they like about using abstract, one of the things that's mentioned quite repeatedly is find string, the string scanning. Okay, so I'm going to take option number 6 here and go into the string scanning. What can you scan in here? Well, you scan for your information, and you can look at either the source file or the message file. It's great for troubleshooting, finding your way around. Just identify what it is you're looking for, and it'll go through and help you find it. So if you're looking for a particular file or field or message or something like that, it kind of helps you get to the point where you can find it a little bit easier. It's called string scanning. Okay. And then we also have flow charting. That's the other thing that's real popular on the productivity tools, in addition to the recompiling options. But we have the flow charting. So I'm going to take option number 11 for flow chart. Again, I'm going to prompt it because I don't want to put everything out there. And I'm going to just grab one particular program. It's called custno change C in APL sample. Make sure I spelled it right. I don't trust my typing. Yep, looks good. There's my message weight again. I can go back to my spool file. Yeah, I can come down to the report that's called object flow, and I can display that, and there's my flow chart for this particular custno change C in APL sample. Now, if you're using abstract, you also get ESEND with it, and we have just a quick screenshot of that. We have a command called work spool file E, okay, which takes you into like work spool file, but you have ESEND options up here. So I can come down to that flow Come down to my flow here, and I can send that to myself or to someone else as a PDF or an RTF file. Okay, so it kind of helps in getting it in a PC way. So there's a lot available here, a lot of maneuvering around, but you can see that there's, like I said, I pushed a lot of information out there from the green screen side and really threw a lot at you. But there's a lot that the system can do. It can, from the one database, from the one cross-reference, whether it's the whole system or particular projects, you can go out and look at all your different pieces of information. Now, real quickly about the menus, I didn't kind of talk about all these other options, but they're all available under the sub-menus. For example, the first three here, I'll start with a 1. They're available under menu option 1. The next ones I'll start with 2. They're available under menu options 2. And what we've done is just put some of the popular ones, the more commonly used ones, on this screen right here to give you a little bit easier access to them without going through the menus. But again, as you begin to learn the system a little bit better, you could actually just call the commands directly. Now, a lot of folks are using iNavigator for some of their stuff, and you get a plug-in with Abstract to automatically give you access to Abstract from your navigator, iNav, OpsNav, whatever you want to call it, System Navigator, whatever we're calling it today. So here I am in the Navigator, and I see all the systems I have configured over here on the left. And if I click on the one I'm looking at here, you may have to, when you first do this, do an install plugin. If your Navigator is not set up to do an automatic scan every time it opens, you can actually come out here and do the install. It'll find that it's loaded, and you just load it, because we install everything out on the IFS in the correct position, so the plugin can find it. But when you do, then you're left, then you'll see an Abstract node out over here. Now you can right-click on it and go to the properties, and I can look at the properties of this, including to make sure I'm looking at the correct data set, the data set that I want to be looking at. You can have more than one data set. I can look at one at a time, but I can look at multiples one after the other if I need to. So this is the correct data set, so I'm okay there. If I expand that node, I see the 3 libraries that I put into the cross-reference. APL sample, QTemp, and SQLEX got brought into here. If I expand, say, APL sample, I can see the breakdown between source, command, file, libraries, menus, etc. If I click on programs, I now see the list of programs that are available. I can right-click on any one of these programs. There's that Cusno change guy I saw earlier, and I have some options. I can do different options out here, and I can do that at any level. I can come back over here at the APL sample level, and I can say, show me the object references. Remember, we were looking at this via the green screen, and here it comes up in the Navigator. Looks more like a spreadsheet, and it's real easy to print it or to save it as a CVS, which can be open, of course, in Excel if you need that type of saving. You can also, there's not a Command 17 because we're in the GUI world, but we do have a button that allow you to change your subset. So I can actually come out here and change it to look at just program-to-program relationships if I want to, just like I did from the green screen. And it would change what I'm looking at here. You can also do a flow chart at any point. You get these same 4 buttons whenever you're looking at this. I want to do a flow chart from here, but again, remember, I'm looking at the whole system, so this is kind of a large flow chart. I'll look at another one here down a little bit. I'll come down in here to programs, go to that Cusno change guy, and come to flow chart. And now I'm looking at a flow chart for a Cusno change C. Now, if your PC does have Visio, it'll use Visio for the flow charting. If it doesn't, it'll use this particular flow charting, allow you to change it if you need to structure it a little bit differently or however you want to do it. And then again, you get your same options up here, which include print and saving the flow chart, allow you to edit it and change your subset. Okay, so that's how you would maneuver yourself around within the GUI side, the OpsNav. Now again, right-clicking at the APL sample library, there's my exception reports, find string, flow charting, object references, object where used, load or remove information from the cross-reference, all available just from a right click right in through here. If I come over to the program side and I right click, notice that edit source on my particular PC is grayed out. I don't have any compiling capabilities from Navigator. I don't have that licensed program loaded, but if you did, you would have the ability to edit right from here. Now, during the PowerPoint presentation, Heath mentioned RDP. RDP is IBM's Rational Developer for Power System software. Okay? More and more customers are turning to the Rational way to develop it. And again, my PC doesn't have all the programming licenses because I don't need them. I don't do programming, so it didn't make sense to license me for any of that. But you can see that all of the options for the different machines that I've loaded into RDP are located over here. I can get into the various objects, I can get into the various commands and do all of this. And this is all just normal RDP stuff. You follow the instructions through that we provide for abstract, okay, including things like installing new software, which is similar to installing the plugins. And what you end up with when you follow those instructions is an abstract tree view. So I'm going to refresh this over here. There's the machines that I have configured. I'm going to go into Addison because that's the machine I'm looking at here. Ask me, of course, to sign on. And there are the three libraries again that are loaded into my cross-reference. If I expand APL sample, there's the list of the types of objects that are in that library. If I expand program, there's the list of programs. And at any point, I right-click, and I get the same options. I can look at object references, again, for the whole APL sample library. My display is going to be the same as it was from Navigator. Okay. Again, I can print, flowchart, save, get a new subset by getting my subset button. I can go into custom change C, flowchart, and I get the exact same flowchart that we saw before. Okay, so it gives you the ability from one simplified source, whether it's green screen, whether it's iNav, or whether it's RDP, to do your programming, to do your troubleshooting, to do your program fixes, modifications, and at the same time looking at the cross-reference, changing things within the system, repopulating the cross-reference so everybody's looking at the same centralized database, you're all on the same page, so to speak, that type of information. So the three different interfaces that all come with Abstract give you the ability to streamline your process and make it so much more efficient and so much easier to find, change, and modify various programs.
Excellent, Mike. Thank you so much.
That ends the session there for the demonstration.
All
You're
right.
welcome, Heath. Yeah.
Perfect. Great time in there. Great job too as well. Well, folks, hopefully you get an idea. There's a lot of different ways to actually work with information out there, and really kind of see how Abstract can show the relationship between the objects, flowcharts, those relationships graphically. It'll help you analyze the file definitions and really streamline your development environment. With Abstract, you think about here, Abstract can automatically build that cross-reference database out there, so you understand and see the relationship between all your objects, which really will help you and your team, with the software development projects, today and of course in the near future. Just very quickly here, just a list of our different products throughout help systems, and of course today we focused with the Abstract. Let me go ahead and go full screen here for you. But again, Abstract, is the software development toolkit for cross-referencing your programming objects, your files, source numbers, and so forth. It'll help you build that flow chart between your relationships for your programs and files and all that, and really find out where they're being used. And then we have Easy View here just to the right. Easy View can actually increase your productivity, by making it easier to read and change the contents of database files. Easy View makes it easy to correct your database files and add new records, print and change existing records, and even delete records as well. And then like Mike mentioned here too with eSend. eSend lets you send spool files using email. You can use it to distribute reports to multiple users, or to burst a spool file and send parts of it to different recipients. You can actually automate this process and use it with SQL. or with abstract, of course, and then it's a nice, great tool to add it to your environment out there. And then we have any date. Any date lets you override the system date or time to simulate date-specific processing or to work with different systems across time zones and all that. At this point, Mike and I are both ready for some questions here. If you haven't had a chance to send us any questions, please go ahead and do it now, and then send those questions to all panelists so that way, again, Mike and I can both see them.
Got to pull up that feature. There we go. Excellent, excellent.
All right, Mike, what are you seeing out there, sir?
One question came in about change management. Abstract does not have a change management tool, but it works well with other change managements. For example, here we have a different change management tool, and I'm drawing a blank on it. Internally help systems, the one we use. Anyway, but our developers do use Abstract. They do keep populating the cross-references, and so there's no check-in, check-out from Abstract, but the system Abstract does work well with other types of cross-referencing systems. Do you remember what it is that we use, Heath? I'm drawing a blank on that. Since I don't program, I don't remember what they said.
Yeah,
okay, it's not a big deal. But it's one of the more popular ones that are out there. So anything like that is a change management tool. Since your programs are objects, they're checked in and checked out, and you can manage. You can see that information from your cross-reference system, and also within Abstract. I'm seeing another question here about RDP. RDP, just remember, is IBM's Rational Development for Power, so you need to get that from them and license the pieces that you need. And then once you get that with Abstract, there's just a couple of steps you have to go into to activate that. You do have to do the iNavigator activation first, install the plugin in iNav, and then RDP will be able to pick it up. Since both of those are IBM pieces, you have to do the plugin first, but once that's done, the RDP comes in. And the question was talking about Abstract and RDP. RDP is not the focus of Abstract. It's not the main driving piece of Abstract. It's just an add-on. So Abstract has been around since the system 38 days.
Yeah.
30 years. 30 years Abstract's been around. That's as long as I've been out of college. Oops, I probably shouldn't have said that now. But,
the product I think you're thinking of is the CPA product. Is that correct?
It could be, yeah.
What I meant, the task, monitoring of jobs and device usage, pricing, and all that.
Yeah,
I think it might be CPA.
Yeah. Excellent.
I'm not seeing anything else out here.
No, I'm not either. I'm not. Couple of comments, a couple of good comments. But
yeah, exactly.
No other.
Well, with that said, we'll go ahead and wrap things up here just a few minutes early, so that's not a problem at all. So let me continue on the next slide here really quickly. Mike, great job with the demonstration here today. We do appreciate it. And folks, of course, we really thank you, for spending your time with us here today. We hope that you now have a good feel how Abstract can actually help you, help your environment, your team, and really building a nice, strong relationship between all your objects out there. And if you're currently listening to here today and don't have Abstract and would like to try it out, give us a call. All of our products do come with a 30-day free trial. We'll help you install it, make sure it's up and running for you right away. And again, folks, thank you for your time, and we hope to see you guys in future webinars. This does conclude our session today. Have a great day.